So today's sequence is all about the legs. We're going to be opening up the front of the thighs, the quadriceps, the back of the thighs, hamstrings, and the outer hips, and a little bit of inner hips as well. Great for everybody, especially runners, cyclists, hikers. So just starting lying on your back, just fully relaxing in Shavasana. Just letting the buttocks and the thighs be soft and relaxed and heavy. And just coming to full presence, so bringing all your awareness into your body and to your breath. And just taking a really deep inhale, filling up the chest cavity, stretching the skin and pausing at the top of the inhale. And exhale fully through the mouth. And just repeat one more time with a big inhale. This is like wiping the slate clean, coming into the yoga practice. Hold at the top of the inhale. And exhale fully. And then we're going to need a strap and a brick for today's class, ideally, but not essential. So if you have a strap, take it around the widest part of the left foot now, so just at the base of the toes. If you don't have a strap, just hold onto the leg, the thigh, or wherever you can reach. And we're going to draw the left leg towards us, pushing through the heel, activating that leg, pushing the strap away if you're using a strap with the ball of the foot. Right leg can be extended along the floor like me, in which case it's very active, pushing through the heel, toes to shin, or if your lower back is sensitive, just have the right foot on the floor in the knee bent. So just finding that opening in the back of the left knee. I'm going to take the left leg out to the side, so use your right hand to press down on the right hip bone and let the left leg come out to the left. You may need to bend the knee. If the leg's staying straight, fully activate the leg. So keep pushing the strap away with the ball of the left foot and keep pushing through the heel of the right foot. You may notice my kitten appearing and disappearing in this practice. This is its first appearance, probably one of many. Inhale the leg back to the centre, core awareness, and then we're going to try and keep the left buttock on the floor. So I'm actually going to use my left thumb to hook into the hip crease and keep the left buttock on the floor as we take the foot towards the centre line. Still really pressing through the heel, activating the leg, and hopefully you feel a stretch down the outside of the left leg. So this is the IT band, outer calf, again tight on everyone. If you have super tight hamstrings, you may not feel that stretch. You may just be feeling it in the hamstrings, that's fine. Release the strap, bend the left knee, and use your right hand to draw the knee across the body. Extend your left arm out in line with the shoulder and look over your left shoulder. So this can be a strong spinal twist, so don't force it, only take the knee as far as it can comfortably go. And then breathe into the lower back, trying to release the big muscles around the left shoulder blade to relax the skin of the back onto the mat. Deep breaths. Bit of core awareness. Inhale, bring the left leg back to the centre, hands around the front of the shin or the back of the knee. Just give your knee a tight squeeze into the chest here. And release and extend the left leg. And swap sides. So if you have a strap, take it around the widest part of the right foot now, otherwise holding onto the back of the leg. Push through the heel, toes to the shin. If you have the strap, push the strap away with the ball of the foot. If you're extending the left leg, extend through the heel and bring the toes towards the shin so the thigh is very active, or that left foot can be on the floor, knee bent. Drawing the foot towards the face until you feel that opening in the back of the right knee. So if you have very tight hamstrings, you may need to bend the knee here. And then taking the right foot out to the right, so your left hand can be your anchor on your left hip bone to try and keep the left buttock on the floor. Both legs fully active. Pressing through the heels of both feet. Left buttocks bound to creep off the floor a little bit, but as best we can, keeping it grounded. And then finding your core awareness to bring the foot back towards the centre line and taking hold of both ends of the strap in the left hand now. Use your right thumb to anchor the right hip crease down, right buttock stays connected to the floor. Bring the foot towards the centre line and then toes to shin, press through the heel, trying to find that IT band stretch, that sensation down the outer edge of the right leg. You may need to bring the foot slightly further to the face if you don't feel anything, just experiment with positioning. And then release the strap and use your left hand to draw the knee across the body. Extend right hand out in line with the shoulder, look over the right shoulder, release the right shoulder blade into the mat. Breathe deeply into the lower back, the spinal twist. And this is a kind of passive cross twist, so you're rolling with it, so you're on the outer edge of your left ankle. Slow, deep breaths. Core awareness, come back to the centre, squeeze the knee into the chest for a moment. And then we're coming into thread the needle. So you're keeping the right leg bent and you're placing the outer left ankle on the front of the right thigh with the left foot fully flexed, so toes to the shin, and then draw the right knee towards you. Take some circles into the right foot. So you should be feeling this as a stretch on the outer left hip. Breathing deep into the back, into the areas of the body where you feel the stretch. And then we're swapping sides, so simply swap right ankle, outer ankle on the front of the left thigh now, keeping that the right foot really flexed, toes to the shin, taking some circles in each direction with the left ankle. And you're hugging the left knee in towards the chest. If you can't do that without keeping your head on the floor, then just have the left foot on the floor. You still get the same stretch, just less intense. Otherwise you're drawing the knee towards you till you find that stretch on the outer right hip. And release and push yourself up to a seated position, comfortable seated cross-legged, shin stacked in front of shin if you can for Sukhasana, and then start to walk the hands forward until you get to your limit, and then drop the head between the upper arms. Press through the hands a little bit to anchor the pelvis fully on the mat, and breathe deep. So this is a back stretch, but also we're really focusing on the hips, so you should feel this is an outer hip stretch, especially the shin that's in front, or the side of the leg that's in front. So breathe into the area that you feel the stretch. Walking the hands back, and we're just going to swap the shins over, so this is probably going to be your tight side. Walking the hands forward again, dropping the head, pressing back through the hands to keep the pelvis on the floor, and breathing deep. Deep releasing exhales. Great, and walking the hands back in. And from here we're going to come onto tabletop, so just find your way to hands and knees, knees beneath hips, hands beneath the shoulders, and take some cat-cows. So inhale, lift tailbone, drop belly, look up. Exhale, push through the hands, activate triceps, stretch the spine to the ceiling, chin to chest. Just repeating 2 or 3 more rounds with your breath. Using the eye muscle, so looking up at the inhale, looking down the bridge of the nose on the exhale. And because we're working with the hips, you may wish to add some hip circles in, as I'm doing. Just feels amazing for my body, but horses for courses. Just continue going up and down if you prefer. And then a little bit of core, so lift the belly up towards the spine, and then extend the right leg out behind you in line with the hip, all 5 toes pointing towards the floor. And then keeping the belly lifting, extend the left hand forward, so we have this diagonal stretch through the body. Stay here for a few more breaths, or there's an option to take tiger stretch, so you take the left hand back, bend the right foot to the buttock, and hold the top front of the right foot with the left hand, and then push the foot into the hand to draw the left shoulder back. If you're in the tiger, extend, release and extend the arms, and then everybody come back down to tabletop for the other side. So lifting up belly to the spine first, stabilise at the core. Stretch the left leg out behind you in line with the hip, push through the heel, toes to the floor, reach the right hand forward, full extension, keep lifting the belly up, keep pressing through the left hand, stay here, or left heel to buttock, reach the right hand back, find the foot with the hand and push the foot into the hand to draw that right shoulder back and look up a little bit. It's quite a strong back bend, so only do this if it's comfortable for you at this stage of the class. If you have the bind, release and extend. Everybody coming down now. Coming into wide knees, child's pose. So big toes touch, knees are about mat distance apart, and just extend the hands forward, drop the forehead towards the floor, and breathe into the back of the body. Hips sinking onto the heels, relax the jaw. And we're going to turn this into a side waist stretch. So start to walk the hands over to the right as far as they'll go, but keeping that left buttock on the left heel towards it. And then see if you can place the left hand on top of the right, just to deepen the stretch down the left side waist, and then breathe into that stretch, dropping the head between the upper arms. So again, you can press through the hands a little bit to encourage the left buttock to stay anchored. It's going to have a tendency to creep up as we stretch away from it, so we're trying to get that sense of stretching in two different directions, the pelvis dropping, fingertips reaching away. Stay low, walk to the other side, so as far as you can round to the left. Maybe, if you can, placing right hand on top of left, pushing through the hands to keep right buttock sealed to right heel so the pelvis is evenly anchored. Drop the head, breathe deep. So we're in a bit of a kind of banana shape in the spine here. It's forward flexion, but also this kind of sideways compression on the left side, opening the right side. Come back to the middle, tabletop, and then hands slightly in front of the shoulders, tuck the toes and find downward dog, looking back towards the feet. And just take a moment here. You may wish to walk out the heels, lift the heels one by one, alternate heel lifts, and press the opposite one down just to really get into the lower calf muscles. But spread the fingers, activate the hands, push the hands actively into the mat, roll the upper arms away from the ears and spiral the lower arms inwards, so there's kind of dual spiraling in opposite direction in the arms, so you're anchoring more down through the thumb and first finger knuckle. Lift the belly up to the spine to hollow out the belly, firm up the thighs, deep breaths. Then come high onto the toes, bend the knees really deep and push through the hands to send the chest towards the thighs, so the knees are quite low here. And then lift the hips, extend the legs, drop the heels again, back to downward dog. And again, high onto the toes, but this time roll the body like a wave into plank, so shoulders over the wrists. If this is too much, have the knees on the floor. And I like to kind of glide backwards and forwards in plank, just working the toe joints, and then push back to downward dog. Again, high on the toes, that wave-like motion into plank. Gliding back and forward if that feels good for your toes. And then option here to drop the hips, staying high on the toes, roll the shoulders back, open the chest. This can be too much for some people's lower back, so either skip this or roll onto the top of the feet for standard upward dog. Back to plank and then back to downward dog. I'm going to repeat that one more time. So high on the toes, stretch the toe joints, wave-like motion, plank, stay here, or start to drop the hips, staying high on the toes, shoulders back, chest forward. Remember, you can come onto the tops of the feet if that's better for you. Thighs hovering off the floor. Back to plank, back to downward dog. Dropping the heels, looking back towards the feet. Take a breath. And then looking forward, step, walk or jump the feet to the hands. Inhale and look up. Exhale, fold into the shins. Inhale, standing up, raise the hands above the head, and exhale, hands back to the side, Tadasana. Inhale, hands up, palms together, look up. Exhale, hands to the floor, folding into the shins. We're doing a sun salutation. Inhale, look up, flat back, shoulders back, chest forward. Exhale, step or jump back to plank, shoulders over the wrists. Again, knees can be on the floor here. Inhale. And as you exhale, lower down, elbows in, push the floor away. Inhale to your back bend, upward dog like me, or a smaller back bend with the elbows bent. And exhale back to downward dog. So with the vinyasas, take it at your own pace. Because I'm sharing my personal practice, sometimes I take the stronger version, but you don't have to. On your next inhale, step or bring the right foot between the hands for low lunge. And again, I'm doing this gliding back and forth. I feel it kind of lubricates the hip. So we're really getting into left hip flexor, inner right hip crease. And then push through the left hand, and which is under the shoulder, and reach the right hand up for a cross twist. If it's too hard to have the left hand on the floor, use your brick. Exhale, release the right hand back down, and just swap the right hand and the foot over, so both hands on the inside of the right foot. Now we're coming into the crocodile stretch. Drop into the hips a little bit here, keeping the back leg very active. If you're more open, you may be able to start to bend the arms, maybe even coming onto the elbows like I'm doing, but otherwise stay on the hands. And again, use a brick if the floor is too far away, put the hands on the brick. And then we're just dropping into the hips. Now we're going to release the left knee to the floor. You can turn the right toes out slightly and start to drop the right knee out towards the right, coming onto the little toe edge of the right foot. Keep the right foot flexed. And I like to keep the toes of the left foot tucked under, but you can come onto the top of the foot. So sinking low into the hips, deep hip openers. And then swap the right hand and the foot back over again. We're coming into crescent moon lunge. So come onto the top of the left foot now, sink the hips forward and low, really working into this left hip flexor. Take the hands to the front of the right thigh, stay there, or possibly take the hands up for the full Anjaneyasana position, palms together, looking up, sinking the hips, slight back bend maybe, upper arms in line with the ear, coming forward. Now either take the left hand to the floor or brick underneath the shoulder and reach the right hand back, or if it's easily available, bend the right foot and take hold of the foot with the left hand. And then we're really drawing the heel towards the buttock. We're trying to really get into the front of the left thigh now, the quadriceps. So heel to buttock. You can come deeper by coming down onto the left elbow as I'm doing, or otherwise you're on the left hand. Strong stretch. Release. Come back to crescent moon lunge, and either repeat crescent moon lunge with the hands up or hands resting on the thigh, or a possible option as I'm doing is to bend the left leg again, foot firmly flexed, and take both hands back to hold the front of the left ankle, and then you push the ankle into the hands, which really draws the shoulders back. It's a great chest shoulder opener and a wonderful stretch on the back thigh and hip again, but that's an option. Step back to either child's pose or downward dog, or take a vinyasa, exhaling down to the floor, or chaturanga, inhaling to your back bend, exhaling back to downward dog. Pause for a breath between sides. And then on your inhale, step or bring the left foot forward between the hands, so the knees above the ankle, maybe gliding back and forth a little bit, stretching the toe joint of the right foot and easing into the hips. And then right hand underneath the shoulder on the floor or a brick. Take the left hand up and look up, so we're in this cross twist. Push down through the right hand, reach up through the left fingertips, find space between the shoulder blades, back leg super strong, back heel drawing backwards. Release the left hand down, and then swap the left hand and the foot over, so both hands on the inside of the left foot. Keep the back leg very active, heel drawing backwards, but drop into the hips a little bit more. Again, option to start to bend the arms, or maybe you can come down onto the elbows. If you're coming down onto the elbows, try not to compress the upper back too much. Keep the gaze forward, keep the back long. Back leg still super active. Great, and then bring the right knee down. Come onto the little toe edge of the left foot. You can turn the left toes out slightly and allow the left knee to drop out to the side as far as it will comfortably go, sinking into the hips. Deep hip opening work. So deep breaths. Relax the jaw. And if you're on the elbows, coming back to the hands, swap the left hand and foot over, back to our crescent moon lunge. And again, you either repeat, coming into the crescent moon lunge, so hands onto the thighs, or take the hands all the way up and look up, pressing down through left heel, top of right foot, so the legs are active, slight back bend maybe. And then right hand onto the floor or brick underneath the right shoulder, stretch the left hand back, stay there, or option, bend the right foot towards the buttock, take hold of the front of the foot with the left hand, and then squeeze the left foot heel towards the buttock. And option to come down onto the right forearm, which is parallel to the front of the mat if you're more open, but not at all essential. Keep squeezing foot to buttock, deep quadricep opener. Release the foot if you have the foot, everybody turning to the front, and refind Anjaneyasana. Stay either hands on the thigh or hands up as before, or bend the right foot towards the buttock again if available. Flex the foot, take hold of the front of the ankle with both hands and push the ankle, the shin, into the hands to draw the shoulders back. I love this posture. Extension through the spine, opening the chest. Release the foot. step back, take child's pose or downward dog, or come to plank. Exhaling to chaturanga or the mat. Inhale to a back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Taking a breath in downward dog, stretching the heels down to open the calf, and then inhale to raise the right leg high and bend the right knee, let the foot drop over towards the left, really anchoring down through the left heel, left thigh is firm, and then bring that right foot forward again between the thighs, the hands, same as before, low lunge. Inhale and look up, and as you exhale, rock the hips back, straighten the front leg and fold into the shin, coming onto the heel. Inhale back to high lunge. Exhale back, Parsvottanasana, on the heel, straight front leg. One more time. Inhale, open up into low lunge. Exhale, rock the hips back, straighten the front leg, toes to the shin, folding in. Great. Inhale back, coming into low lunge. Release the left knee down, and this time we're coming into half split, so start to take the hips back onto the heel of the right foot, toes towards the shin, and fold over the front shin. You may need bricks under the hands, or take the hands onto the shin if you don't have bricks. Stay here for a few more breaths, but I was wanting to try full Hamonasana this morning, so if you wish to go for the full splits, you start to extend the front leg forward. I'm working with this with tucking the toes of the back foot under, but you can be on the top of the foot. If you want to come halfway or you're getting close, you can use that brick underneath the right buttocks, so you've got a real support for the pelvis. And only if you feel very stable in the lower body do you raise the arms and open up the chest into the full posture. Otherwise we're just staying in half Hamonasana and just being with that, exactly where we need to be. Coming into a vinyasa if you wish, or just child's pose or downward dog. So if you're vinyasa-ing between sides, just make sure you're really flowing with the breath. One breath, one movement, and then inhale, left leg raises. Bend the knee and drop the foot over to the right. Strong right thigh, anchor the right heel. If you're very open in the lower back, slightly tuck the tailbone under so we don't overextend or over compress. And then bring that left foot between the hands into low lunge, knee above the ankle. Inhale, look up and extend the spine, and exhale, take the hips up and back, straighten the front leg, toes to shin, fold in. Inhale, open up back into low lunge. Exhale, Parsvottanasana, head towards the shin, toes to the shin. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, flowing back, straightening as best you can the front leg and folding into the shin. Come back to low lunge and then release the right knee to the floor. Take the hips backwards, come onto the heel of the left foot, toes very strongly to the shin, and fold over the left leg. Half Hamonasana, half splits. And just stay here. Enjoy a good few extra breaths here. Or if you're working with full Hamonasana, extending the left leg forward. We're always really trying, it's really hard, but trying to square the pelvis to the front and the chest to the front as best as possible. So drawing left side back as best we can. And again, only if you have a firm foundation, whether on the floor or on a brick underneath the left thigh, do you take the hands up. Opening the chest, breathing into the chest. And exhale, release, coming back, everybody. Coming into plank position again, or you can be in child's pose here or downward dog, lowering to the floor, chaturanga as you exhale, inhaling to a back bend, exhaling Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Slow deep breaths. Inhale, raise the right leg. Exhale, coming into pigeon, so bring the right knee behind the right wrist and the shin across the body. And then slide that left foot as far back as it will go. Now I like to work with the back bend element of this posture first, so bringing the fingertips towards the hips if available for you, or even as I'm doing back behind you, to really open the chest, to really open the pigeon chest here, drawing the shoulder blades together down the spine, breathing into the front of the chest, staying here, possibly coming into mermaid, so bending the left leg and putting the foot into the hook of the crook of the elbow, and then reaching the right hand up and over and finding the finger hook, again trying to square the chest to the front as best as possible. And I'm going to have a go at the full king pigeon posture here with the elbows high, but this is again just my personal practice, you don't need to do it. We're touching the toes to the forehead, and trying to bring the elbows high. If you're going for any of these back bending elements, it's easier to bring the right foot closer towards the hip bone. I'm coming out with more control than I did. Back to pigeon, and then we're all coming forward now. So you may have just stayed upright for those few breaths, opening the chest, and now we're all walking the hands forward to fold over the front thigh. This puts too much pressure on your right knee. Just repeat thread the needle like we did at the start of the class. So any sharp shooting pains in the right knee, just come out or back off. Otherwise, release what you can release here. So release the jaw, the shoulders, the upper back, the belly. We don't need these muscles to be working. Go to the area in the body where you're really feeling the stretching sensation, so outer right hip, and direct your attention there as you breathe, deep releasing breaths. So much tension gets locked into this area of the body, the outer inner hips, gluteus, gets kind of packed in and stuck, so just allowing yourself to release these layers. Anything that's ready to go, just give it permission to release. Gently pressing through the top of the left foot so the legs stay aware, and flexing the right foot. Slowly walking the hands in, just lean over to the right so that you can bring the left foot forward and round. Bring the right foot so it's just to the outside of the left hip. You might need to sit on the brick here, and step the left foot to the outside of the right knee if you can. It might need to be in front of the knee. Left hand is your prop. Reach up through your right hand, turn towards the bent left leg, and either hug the knee into the elbow or press the elbow to the outside of the thigh. Look behind your shoulder. There is an option for a bind here if you wish, as I'm doing, feeding the right hand through the gap underneath the left knee and finding fingers or wrist behind you. But wherever you are, drop down through the pelvis, lift up through the spine, all the way out through the top of the head, and find space in the body with the breath. Turn to the front, unravel, come into Gormukhasana by, if available, bringing that right foot further back so eventually it's to the outside of the left foot further back so it's outside of the right hip, knees stacked. Otherwise you might still be in the same position as before with the left knee high, foot on the floor. Reach the right hand up, drop the fingertips down the spine, and either use your left hand to just press up and down on that right elbow, front of the elbow, or if available, take the left hand up the spine behind you and maybe find the finger hook, maybe use your strap, or maybe find your top. Keeping the right elbow in line with the ear. Possible option to come forwards, either hook the chin over the knee or just slightly take the chin and the chest forward, but otherwise just staying upright. If you've gone forward, inhale to come back up. Exhale, release the shoulders. We're going to come back to downward dog, so I just kind of rocked forward and came straight back, but however works for you. Repeat on the other side, so inhale the left leg high, exhale your left knee behind your left wrist, shin across the body, walk the right foot back as far as it will go and come onto the top of the right foot, and then open the chest, so bring the fingertips back towards the hips as much as is available for you, possibly behind you if available, but think about extension through the spine. Try not to dump into the lower back too much. Keep lifting through the top of the head. Optional mermaid here, bending the right knee, foot towards you in the crook of the elbow, and left hand reaches back, squaring the chest to the front. Or you're just staying, opening the chest wherever you got to with your hands close to your hips. Or full king pigeon if an option for you, with the elbows high, holding the foot with both hands, foot towards forehead. I'm not going to talk you into this one, it's just there if you wish. If you're in any kind of bent leg position, release the foot, and then we're going to come forward. So everybody start to walk the hands forward. Keep the left foot very flexed, toes to the shin, and press lightly down through the top of the right foot. So there's awareness in the legs. Legs are kind of slightly active here. And then we release as much as we can in the upper body, so the jaw, the shoulders, the upper back, the tummy, because often these muscles are just activated because of some kind of internal resistance we have to the intensity of the stretch. So often we're just creating tension in the body that doesn't need to be there at all. We can just observe this and release. Again, breathing into the area of the body where you're feeling it. Coming back up slowly, lean to the left, bring the right foot forward and bring the left foot slightly further back outside the right hip. Press the right foot into the floor to the outside of the left knee and then twist towards the right this time, either hugging the elbow around the knee or pressing the elbow against the outer thigh, possibly taking the bind. You're looking over your right shoulder behind you. Dropping down through the pelvis, really as best you can press the whole of the sole of the right foot into the mat. It doesn't matter if it hasn't got to the other side of the left knee, it might be in front of it or even the other side of it, but just press through the sole of the foot as much as you can. Breathe deep into the back, turn to the front to release your twist, and then bring that right foot a bit further back if available, to the outside of the left hip into Gomukhasana. Now the soles of the feet are kind of upwards if you're in the full posture and the knees are stacked. Take the left hand up and drop it down the spine, and use your right hand to kind of pull up and push down on the front of that left elbow, and you can stay there, or take the right hand behind the back and walk the fingertips up the spine and maybe find connection fingertips to fingertips, opening the chest, relaxing the jaw, deep breaths, keeping left elbow in line with the ear, keeping right elbow drawing towards the center line of the body. Staying there, or maybe taking chin and the chest forward to deepen the stretch, or maybe hooking the chin over the knees if that's available. But if so, keep the left elbow in line with the ear. It's going to want to creep forwards. Slow deep breaths, and you may just be staying upright. It's totally fine. If you folded forward, inhale back to upright, release with care. Find your way back into downward dog, however works for you. Take a releasing, resetting breath, feeling into the foundations, the hands, the feet, the breath, the bandhas. Roll forward into plank, high on the toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, look over your right shoulder. You can be on your elbows here, cobra. Inhale, center. Exhale, look over the left shoulder. Inhale, center. Look over right shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Excuse me. Inhale, back to plank. And then bring the knees down. We're going to come into Virasana. Excuse me. My frog in my throat. So you may need a brick here. You can just kneel. Sit the hips onto the heels if that's better for you, as I'm demonstrating, or Virasana, keep the knees together, take the feet wider than the hips, soles of the feet up and drop the hips down. So if they easily touch down on the floor, great. If not, use a prop, use a brick. And if it's too much, again, sharp shooting pains in the knees, just kneel, no problem. But trying to keep the knees down. Just pausing. And then stretch the arms forward and wrap the right arm on top, right elbow on top of left, and you can either hug opposite elbow, opposite shoulder blade and drop the chin, or come into Garudasana arms, where we bring the forearms vertical and wrap the arms, so press the backs of the hands or maybe the palms together. Breathe into the upper back, keep lifting those elbows up in line with the shoulders, pressing the hands forward. And then inhale, extend the hands forward and wrap the other way, so opposite elbow on top, either hold onto opposite shoulder blade or Garudasana arms. Lift elbows up, press hands forward. And release. Okay, we're going to have a go at reclining hero, Supta Virasana. So first stage is to take the hands backwards, fingertips pointing forwards, about 10 centimeters behind the buttocks, and press through the hands, arch the spine and lift the chest. If the knees start to come off the floor, this is enough for you. Stay here for work on trying to get the knees down. Otherwise, if you can go further, come onto the elbows. Excuse me. Fingertips touch toes, and again, arch the spine, lift the chest. If that feels okay, and if the knees are pretty much still on the floor, possibly full Supta Virasana, bringing yourself all the way down onto the mat and stretching the arms behind you, holding onto opposite elbows. Keeping the knees pressing towards each other and down, press lightly through the tops of the feet. You may still just be on the hands here or the elbows, in which case you're still actively arching the spine, lifting the chest. Those on the floor get a little bit more of a rest here. If you're on the floor, swap the elbows, so bring the other elbow on top. Deep breaths, great opener for the thighs, the quadriceps, the hip flexors, the whole of the front of the body. And slowly coming up. If you're all the way down, come up the way you went down, so come up onto the elbows and then the hands, and everybody, wherever you got to, just pressing yourself back to upright. And then we've been here a while, so really slowly come forward off the knees, taking the fingertips forward to take the weight, and one at a time just extend each leg back behind you, pressing into the heel, so drawing the heel backwards to really open the back of the knee. So this is great. We've just compressed the circulation in the leg, and now it's flooding back through the leg, so lots more blood flow. So it's really good for our legs, circulation. So you may feel that, just this heightened energy in the legs here. And again, a nice thing to do is a really strong downward dog to really open up the backs of the knees. So take a downward dog and work to strengthen the front of the thighs so that we open the back of the legs. So draw up on the kneecaps. And then come to sit down. And we're going to take a forward fold here. So just start with Dandasana, hands by the hips. Very strong legs, toes to the ceiling, and then inhale, stretch the hands up, palms facing each other, lift out of the lower back, and then start to take the hands forward, but keep stretching through the fingertips, lifting through the lower back, chin and chest forward. And then seeing as we've got the straps, you can take the strap around the widest part of the feet, again base of the toes, and use the strap to kind of lengthen up through the spine, open the chest, drawing the shoulders back. And then maybe dropping the head, coming into a more classic Paschimottanasana, where we also stretch the upper back muscles as well. But the legs stay strong and active, toes still flex towards the shin. Comedy moment where the cat started chasing its tail on my back. I really wondered what on earth it was doing. It was quite nice, it was like a little massage. Slow deep breath. Relax the jaw, relax the shoulders away from the ears. And then slowly coming up. And we're going to come down onto our backs. If you have a brick, amazing opportunity to take a supported back bend, but if you don't have a brick, just take a unsupported back bend, well, supported by your own arms, so palms by the hips and press up, or interlace the hands beneath you. But if you've got the block, take it onto the sacrum, the bony plate just above the buttocks. Take the arms into cactus shape, so elbows in line with the shoulders, bend right angle at the elbows, palms face up, and just extend the legs forward, and the feet will naturally flop out to the side. So we're again getting this lovely opening across the front of the hips and the front of the body, and just melt into your prop here. I had a lovely little hot water bottle effect on my belly with the kitten, which was nice. So just releasing. If you're doing an unsupported back bend, it's a less restorative pose, it's more active, but you're still getting that lovely front opener. Okay, if you have the brick, again there's an option here to come to a supported inversion. I would recommend everybody comes to an inversion to take the blood away from the feet here. So if you've got the brick, you're one at a time going to lift the legs and interlace the hands around the front of the brick, and extend both legs up to the ceiling. You're supported on the sacrum. Those without a brick, you can take a shoulder stand or a halasana plow if you know that posture, or take the hands under the buttocks just to elevate the hips slightly and take the feet up towards the ceiling. Vertical legs. Just for a couple of breaths. Just to allow the blood to flow in the opposite direction, and then we're slowly coming down, peeling the spine back onto the floor. The last thing to come down is the sacrum, and then you take the feet forward a little bit and wide, mat distance apart, inner knees kind of knock towards each other, and then let both knees come over towards the right. An option to lift up the right foot and rest it on the outside of the left thigh, just to deepen the stretch around the left hip and outer thigh, again this IT band. You can extend the left arm in line with the left shoulder and look over the left shoulder. Again, release around the left shoulder. Inhale, come back to the centre. So sometimes called windscreen wiper legs, because you're just rolling onto the edges of the feet. The feet stay mat distance apart. Let the knees come over to the left. Again, possibly lift up the left foot and rest it on the outer right thigh to deepen the stretch along the outside of the right thigh. Looking over right shoulder, arms extended in line with the shoulder. Relax around the right shoulder blade. Deep releasing breaths. Slowly come back to the centre, and we're going to hug both knees into the chest. So just take the hands around the front of the shin or the back of the knees, and just allow the weight of your hands to just draw knees in, getting into the hips again, the lower back. And breathe, breathe into the lower back, breathe into the hips. And Shavasana. So let the feet flop out to the side, fully extended. Let the arms be away from the side, palms up, or if you happen to have a little kitten on top of you, you might wish to give it a bit of a stroke first, as I did. Otherwise, full classic Shavasana, hands up. And let go. So deep releasing stretches for the legs. So just allowing all of that to integrate. Receiving the fruits of the practice, softening, opening to the fruits of the practice, relaxing the jaw, relaxing the buttocks, the big muscles in the thighs, the calves. And if you have time, I recommend taking longer in Shavasana here. Take as long as you have, as long as you feel you need naturally. It's lovely to have time to take a Shavasana until your body tells you it's ready to come out. It's a gift to give yourself. So give yourself that gift if you have time in your day. But those who need to finish with me, this was around about a 42-minute practice. We're going to come out. So just slowly deepening the breath, making any moves you need, and slowly finding your way to seated, to close together. And namaste from King Sunny, the kitten, and me. Thank you for practicing with me today.